Alabama fans, you got yourself a new head coach in Washington's Kalen DeBoer. So what happens now? It's great to talk about, how he fits and what he could do and all that, but what is the immediate next steps and what does the immediate future hold for Alabama in the DeBoer era? Even feels a little bit weird saying the DeBoer era, but it is here in Tuscaloosa. Make sure you subscribe to the On3 YouTube channel, Alabama fans. We're going to talk a lot about your Crimson Tide right here on this platform, on this show, The Hard Count, on this channel, the On3 YouTube channel. So want y'all a part of this. Also, get at me on Twitter and Instagram at JDPakel. Let me know what you think is the first order of business for Kalen DeBoer. For me, if I'm Kalen DeBoer, as soon as that plane touches tarmac in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, I'm making a beeline for the facility. I'm making a beeline for anybody still on the roster in Tuscaloosa, and I'm saying, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we see you fitting. I think re-recruiting the roster right now is priority 1, 2, and 3. If I'm Kalen DeBoer. And the reason why I say that is currently the operation, the roster itself in Tuscaloosa is built to do some really good things. They just won the SEC championship this past season. It is purely top 2 classes on campus right now. So to put it simply, you have the ingredients for immediate success if you can keep as many of those guys on campus as possible. Now, to be clear, I don't necessarily expect some mass exodus through the portal, but when Nick Saban retired, that started the shot clock on a 30-day window for anybody at Alabama to jump into the portal. So re-recruiting this roster, keeping as many guys there in-house, putting a vision out before them, I think is going to be paramount to doing that, and saying, listen, here's what I did at Washington. Here's the X's and O's that I was able to put together and allow us to score 38 points a game during his time in Seattle. Hey, I took a roster to the national championship game. I want you to be a part of this. I want you to kind of fill some of those roles that we had over in Washington. So we'll see how the staff comes together here. At the time of us recording this, this news just broke, so we're kind of walking this out in real time. But I think a key variable to success for Kalen DeBoer, I think the key variable, the thing that's going to determine his long-term success there, is how he recruits. This roster in the immediate future, keeping that in-house, and then going forward, how he recruits at the high school level and in the transfer portal going forward will determine what he does long-term in Tuscaloosa. Now, as it pertains to 2024, Alabama is going to be fine. Alabama is going to be more than fine when it comes to 2024. The reason why I say that is the hesitation that anybody has around Kalen DeBoer, and yours truly included. I'm not saying I think that's a bad hire, but my hesitation would be, well, we haven't seen how he recruits when it comes to the high school level. Now, that's much easier to do at a place like Alabama than it is at Washington, but that's going to, again, be what determines how successful he is throughout the course of the next 5 years. But in the 2024 season, Kalen DeBoer crushes it when it comes to X's and O's. And he's got some of the best ingredients in the country to get that done. Now, it's worth noting, Jalen Milroe is going to be an interesting development for him in Kalen DeBoer's offense because the skill set that Kalen DeBoer has utilized with Michael Penix Jr. during his last couple of years in Seattle was much more a push the ball downfield. We're going to throw the ball a whole heck of a lot. 57% of the time was what they did a season ago. How does that work with Jalen Milroe, who is a tremendous athlete, has shown he is a capable thrower of the football, but his consistency, I think, is something to be desired. I'm not saying he can't do it. That's just something that I'm watching really closely here because that fit, to me, is a little bit quirky. Not that it's not going to work, but that is a different skill set than what you have with Michael Penix Jr., so we'll see how that looks here in 2024. But let me just make sure this is clear, too. For Alabama, 10 wins next season will get you into the college football playoff. Because remember now, we're going to 12 teams. It's not this 4-team model where you can play as well as you want into the SEC championship, but if you lose the SEC championship game, your hopes for the college football playoff go up in the air. It's not the world we're living in anymore. If I'm Alabama, if we win 10 games and they have a roster, quite frankly, and they have a coach who gets X's and O's, quite frankly, to win 10 games next season, they should be more than fine. So what I want to say is Kalen DeBoer as a recruiter, barring some wild transfer portal exodus, we won't really get a great gauge on that for the next 2 to 3 years. Like Alabama, what they have in-house right now is built to last, and that's why we say what you have, or rather, what they have in-house right now, let me rephrase that. Alabama, what they have in-house right now is built to win 10 games and make the college football playoff and probably compete for an SEC championship. That's why the expectations will be as high as they are in year one for Kalen DeBoer. Yes, the brand, but given the ingredients, you should win right away. But going back to what I just said, as a recruiter, we won't get a great gauge for who he is until 2-3 years down the road. So if you're Alabama, I think you should be excited who you hired as a coach and as a person. As a recruiter, that's the only hesitation that I would have. Not that he can't do it, we just haven't seen him have to do it just yet. At Washington, he made key additions through the portal with Michael Penix Jr. and Dylan Johnson, but the structure and the culture of his team at Washington, I think, was as good as any in the country, because it was very clear those dudes played for Kalen DeBoer. Plain as day. In one-score games, you can't hide buy-in. And that team at Washington was all the way bought into the tune of going 8-0 in one-score games. Like, that's a real thing. That's not fluky. You didn't just walk into that by accident. That's a team that was bought into their head coach, and I think it'll be the same kind of buy-in you get from this Alabama team once we see them off and running in the Kalen DeBoer era. If you're Alabama, you are buying stock in the early stages of who you believe is a rising star in college football. Yes, there were probably other more safe hires out there, given the list of options. When it came down to who you had available, I think Kalen DeBoer was a better option than a Lane Kiffin or a Deion Sanders or whoever else may have been a thought for Alabama. And again, I'm speculating. I don't know if they were on the table or not, but those were names that are going to get thrown around when it comes to the Alabama job by nature of their links to Nick Saban. But with that being said, Alabama has got their guy. The DeBoer era, I guess, more or less starts right now. So again, first order of business, re-recruit the roster. Alabama will be more than fine in 2024 by nature of the guys they already have on that roster, and assuming they keep a fair amount of those guys in-house, nothing but top 2 classes. Here we go. This is where the fun starts. Make sure you're subscribed. Going to talk a lot about Alabama here in the near future. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.